Welcome back, everybody. My name is All Fun and Games. I stream every day on Twitch TV, and I also make fun videos here on YouTube. This is going to be the last video that I'm going to be making on this stuff, so just stay tuned, and if you have any questions after this, feel free to ask. All right, well, the last little bit of tips that I can give you before the first Hound wave hits is pretty much to go around and gather a ton of resources. We're going to need it for pretty much surviving. At this point, I've showed you things all the way up until pretty much crafting yourself your first meatball recipe, which should hopefully keep you on the survival path. Now, of course, if you are satisfied with this video and it's helped you with a lot of early game stuff, feel free to ask me any other questions, and I can showcase a lot of my videos where I've obviously went through the process and showcased a ton of things for early game survival in DSD and a 1-year survival in Don't Starve Together and all that other stuff. But for now, while it's nighttime, I'm pretty much going through and just gathering a ton of resources. It always helps at nighttime to do this because, you know, what else are you going to do at nighttime and Don't Starve Together other than gather resources? I'm gathering twigs and grass to make myself lots and lots of resources in case I need to make some more utilities. And then in the morning, I'm going to chop down a little bit of wood, and then it's pretty much adventure time. You have to remember that when the hounds attack you, it's not going to be the end of the world. However, it is going to be the end of the series because I think at that point it's a good way of cutting away from it and just start to learn the game yourself. Trial and error and Don't Starve Together is a huge thing. So if you find yourself dying a lot, well, you're going to have to kind of switch up your tactics and make sure that you're trying different methods that might work better for you. But all I can do at this point is showcase you how to get to there, and then from there, it's pretty much up to you to decide what to do. Because everybody has their own path in Don't Starve Together on learning their ways of survival. Okay. So I've gathered a lot of grass and I've gathered a lot of other stuff. It's time to keep moving forward. We have our handy dandy meatball still in our pocket. Let's go ahead and consume that. So now we are at full hunger and we can continue to wander around our area. I'm not going to really worry about getting more logs right now, but it is something to keep on my mind. As I said before, when it comes to your inventory, you want to maintain it pretty well, so you're always keeping things pretty much nice and up and making sure that you have enough stuff in your hand in case things start to, go a little sour. If things were to attack me right now, I know that I can make myself a new log suit because I have just the amount of logs in my inventory. And that is something that I always try to make sure. 8 logs minimum, just in case I need to craft myself another log suit. Let's get ourselves a little more grass, and then let's start focusing on getting ourselves a fridge, as that really is the next big step in Don't Starve Together. All right, so we got ourselves some grass. I'm not going to worry about any more resources, although in the normal sense, if I didn't have anything else to do, I probably would focus on resources and probably some food as well. It comes down to it soon where we really got to start worrying about how to get food, and that's going to be our big final thing in this video, as I think we're probably going to be getting attacked by hounds quite quickly. If you ever come across beefaloes and their butts are not red, always grab as much poop that you can that's around them. As you continue to explore around the area, it just gets better and better and better to gather all the manure that you can. So living close or near the beefalo is not a bad option at all. Just do not go and attack the beefalo. It's not recommended. Especially early game, you might end up in a situation where you end up dying, and it's not going to be wise because, yes, the beefalo do attack together, and they will kill you together. They don't really have any reason to do so. Okay, let's talk about the caves, shall we? You might be scared of them, but we're going down. I'm going to show you why. Once you enter the caves, we're going to focus on one thing real fast, and then we're going to get right out. This might be weird for you, and you might be looking at me saying, no, I am not going down there. Feel free to skip this step, but just if you do, you might get rewarded with some cool stuff. All right. Let's go down into the caves. It might take you a while to load in. It might take you a few seconds depending on, how fast your computer is. When you get down here, press M real quick and look for these light bulbs. You can pretty much see them right away, and if you do, well, you're in luck. Most of them are going to be right next to the cave entrance, so if you do end up coming across them, well, you're in a good position. If you get 2 or 4 or whatever, that's all you need. I really only need 2, and then we're going right back up. That's it for now. And I'm going to show you why this is a really good thing to have later on. And because, when we go back, I keep saying this will be the last thing we do, and this will be the last thing we do. But more and more cool things start actually popping up as I walk around. And this could be very handy as time goes on. All right. So the caves that I opened up is actually really far away from our base. So that's a good thing to do because you don't really want to open up any sort of caves that's really close to your base, as bats are going to continuously attack you. So it's probably not recommended to do so if it's super duper close. But that wasn't that close to us, so it's perfectly fine. And as we wander around, I'm looking to see if I can find any clockworks. Clockworks will actually give us the option to actually get some get some gears, and, you know, of course, it depends on how your world gen is. You might have already found clockworks and said, well, I've already found them. Can I just fight them already? Yes, go ahead and do so. I might come down to it where I have to reveal the whole map in order to find it, but, you know, if that ends up being the case, it ends up being the case. As I don't really want this video to go on forever of me just trying to find clockworks. But here we go. This is something that you're going to have to do in your world. Is pretty much just adventuring. It might sound tedious and you might be going, wow, I'm basically just walking around for like an hour trying to look for these things. But as you go around, you're going to be discovering more cool stuff. You might find boons, which are basically dead bodies that contain lots of different things. You might find an area that has a really cool wormhole. You might find multiple different things. You might find some spiders that you want to go and attack and kill. I mean, there's multiple different things that you find. You do come across some spiders and you want to follow my tips of actually equipping your armor and attacking them so you can get some more resources, I would highly recommend it. Remember what I said before. If it's a tier 1 nest, feel free to attack it. If it's tier 2 nest, I would be very cautious. Yes, we found it. Okay, sweet. This is what I was saying. If you come across these things which show pigs' heads on a spike, well, get yourself a hammer, which you can easily craft with none other than a little bit of twigs, grass, and rocks. Equip it and smash them all down. When you get the resources from them, you're going to be very happy with the outcome because it's going to be able to make something that's going to protect our head, which is a helmet. Now, be very cautious with the amount of pig butts that you get from this. There's a few things that you can do. One thing we can do is we could actually make ourselves a close little pig farm by taking some pig butts and converting them into making like a little pig house. But that is not something that I want to do, as usually the easier way of doing that is by taking and smashing up pig houses that you might find around the world, which is actually right here. You smash 2 of these up and you can recreate and move them around closer to your base, which you can then turn your base into like a little bit of a pig farm. But that's late game stuff, and I don't really want you to focus on anything late game. So if you find that, that's a touchstone. And hey, look, a boon. I just talked about this. Free pickaxe and a bunch of free cut stone, which is actually going to be very helpful soon when we have to make our next little thing. See, this is why exploring your world and Don't Starve Together actually gets better and better and better the further you go. Because you might come across things that you just never knew were there before, and it just gets, you know, easier as time goes on to find more cool things. We found another cave entrance. This one I'm not going to go down, but, you know, if you would decide to go down and look for more bulbs, that's entirely up to you. As I said before, I'm looking for clockworks because I want to find the gears. Gears are super crucial when it comes to making our next things that we need to make in DST, and that's to make an ice box. If we don't have an ice box, our food is going to spoil a lot quicker than it normally would. As you can see, our butterfly wings are already spoiling, and so are our berries. So we want to stop the spoil rate as much as we can. So the sooner we find ourselves clockworks so we can kill them, the better. And look, it's a pig king. So a pig king will showcase a bunch of pig houses, which, as I said before, if you wanted to smash those up and bring those home, you could do so now that we have the alchemy machine. But I'm going to leave them there for now because I don't really need to do that. This is probably going to be a dead end, and I don't believe there's going to be any clockworks, but there's entirely possible. This is another area to find yourself the pan flute. Pan flutes are really useful for when that's going to be right next to the Glommer statue. The pan flute will put all enemies to sleep if you decide to actually fight a bunch of them all at the same time. So it's more of like an emergency purpose in case anything happens. So if you do come across the Pig King area, feel free to grab that. But it might be a while before we find some gears, so it might be wise for us to just head on back home and make something that I want to make that could help us explore in the darkness. And yes, we do have to get ready for hounds. Hounds might show up at nighttime and they might start growling at any point in time. If you have your game turned up, you're going to hear the sounds of hounds basically growling in the background, and if this happens, don't really worry too much because we have everything we need in our inventory to protect ourselves from the hounds. The one thing that we don't have right now is light. So we got to make sure that if hounds do attack us, that we try to do it during daytime so it's a little bit easier to attack. And remember, you never want to attack anything with a torch in your hand because it's just going to spread fire everywhere. So that is something that you never ever want to do. If you ever attack anything with fire, well, unfortunately, you're going to probably be in a world of pain when things start to catch on fire around you. Okay, so we still are not finding any clockworks. Is it going to be possible that we have to just go without making ourselves an icebox? I don't think so. I'll probably make that at the very end anyways. Like I said, if I have to reveal the map, that way I can showcase exactly where to get it, and it might not be too hard for you in your world as you might have already found them. And if you did, well, good luck, and good luck, and I'm happy that you found it. All right, so let's keep going. So we're going to go back to our base now, which is right in front of us, and we're going to put away a bunch of our junk, and then we're going... Oh, I think I hear them. Yeah, so you hear the hound starting to growl? Okay. So we have a lot of time to actually go back to our base and get rid of a bunch of stuff to get ready for battle. When I say get ready for battle, it's really not going to be that big of a deal the first hound wave unless you have a lot of people in your server, but most of the time you only get like 1 or 2 hounds. It's not much at all. Because it's a first hound wave, the game doesn't really want to kill you right away. I mean, if you are playing modded, it might be otherwise, but yeah. So, we're going to go right back home, or we're going to get ourselves ready for the first hound waves. So let's go back here, and look, we've already caught a lot of bunnies, which is really awesome. We can probably make some more stuff if we want to. Let's put away some cut stone, put away our poop. We still have lots of stuff in our inventory, and this is why we want to eventually make an ice box so I can store some food. Let's make ourselves a meatball now that we have a few things to do that with. We have our pan flute ready. We have an extra pickaxe, which we can just toss it on the ground if we want to. We can pick up the logs because we're probably going to get more. Now we have our pigskin. Let's quickly make what I want to show you. Go to your armor tab and click on football helmet. Now we can use 1 pigskin to make this. And guess what? There's a big bonus for this because now we don't have to automatically equip our log suit. Our log suit is now our backup in case we actually don't have a way of making a football helmet. Keep your pigskin on you because if you drop it on the ground at any point in time, or if you die, the hounds will eat the pigskin and so will other mobs. Now we're basically just going to sit here and wait for the hounds to attack us. Try to stay away from any sort of other things and just pretty much run around. When the hound does its first bite, that's when you jump in and start to attack. 1, 2, 3, and the hound is dead. I took only 1 hit from that, but pretty much my football hit took the whole brunt of it. And that's it. Now, might look easy. You might go, that was a hound wave. Are you serious? Well, yeah, sometimes it's a little bit worse than that on the first one, but usually it's pretty easy. And like I said, I can easily recover my HP just by finding ourselves some butterflies. Okay, so why did I gather the light bulbs? Let me show you. Let's go over to our light source and click on our lantern. Requires 2 light bulbs, 3 grass, and a bunch of rope. All we got to do is craft said rope, and now we have ourselves a beautiful lantern. Instead of a torch, we now have a lantern. So yeah, that's right. We can leave our torch on the ground, and we can pretty much wander around with our lantern. Just be cautious though, because the lantern does use ways like light bulbs in order to actually replenish itself. So instead of making a new torch all the time, now we can use a lantern, and it's a lot easier because we can drop that down anytime that we potentially need to have a little bit of light source. We need a little bit more grass. Okay, as we end this out on this, pretty much now you know that we have a crock pot, we have our ways of making more traps, so we can catch our bunnies, so we can make endless amounts of endless amounts of meatballs, which we can keep ourselves nice and fed. We have our tools here for chopping down everything we need. We have a way of making it keep in a chest. We have our science machine. We have our alchemy machine. We have our fire pit. We've survived the first hound wave. You know how to do the basics. You have leftover light bulbs in case you need to craft another lantern, or you need to actually keep this lantern nice and filled. Next step would be, what did I say? Of gathering ourselves the manure. And why are we taking the manure? Because we want to go and we want to replant some stuff that's a little bit closer. If you're going to be going next to any type of frog areas or frog ponds, gather your regal shovel that you have here, and you want to dig up some of the berries, and berries are everywhere. They're not necessarily just next to the frogs. But at dusk, when dusk hits, all the frogs are going to go back into their pond, which lets you gather all the resources that are around them. So all these berry bushes, all we ought to do is wait for the time to change, and we can easily get them without the frogs attacking us. Frogs are pretty slow though, but you know, see, now they're all running back into the pond. And now we can grab these berry bushes. Remember what I said though. Try not to grab resources that are too close to your base, because why would you do that and waste some manure? But for the sake of this video, just imagine that these berry bushes are all the way over here, further away from the base. So this is why we made a shovel, to actually go through the process of actually digging up the things that we want to have closer. Now you might be wondering, I'm confused. You've dug up the berry bushes, why do you need manure? Well, you need to replant and also fertilize said plants when you do it. So now I've moved all these berry bushes closer. So as time goes on, they're going to be easier to actually pick back up. So I'm going to go replant these, and now I'm going to fertilize them also. And at any point in time, I'm going to be able to pick them for easy berry access super close to my base. And that is how you start the farming process. And farming gets more complicated from there, which I'm sure you can look up a lot of farming videos. And here we go. Let's go ahead and reveal the map to showcase just how big of a map we probably need to explore. So at this point, if you have more than I have explored, well, you've done a great job. If you have less, that's still a great job. But look at how much we needed to explore. Okay, so I'm going to showcase what we've been looking for. If you come across everything on your map, we've seen the rock biome. We've seen an area where more rocks appeared. We've seen the bee biome. But what we're looking for is this, a little area that might contain clockworks. So if it looks like a checkered area, that's where we need to go. So we're going to go up there and we're going to see if we can find some clockworks. And I guarantee they will be up there. It's just a matter of time, a matter of making sure that we have ample amount of protection before we go up there. Because clockworks do a lot of damage. And that's the last piece of the puzzle to make ourselves the actual ice box, which will be easier for keeping our food nice and fresh, as I said numerous times. And then from there, it's pretty much on your own. If you want me to continue making more of these videos, you can refer to my 1 year in DST. All I really wanted to do is get you to the point of where you knew how to survive and keep your food nice and fresh. Then the rest is up to you. As further after this, it comes down to fighting bosses and getting yourselves ready to fight other big things that might, be best left for actually learning to do so. But if you want to keep trialing and erroring this and making sure that you're kind of getting yourself to the point where you're like, hey, by day 7, I have exactly what he has, or I have more, or whatnot. Well, it just keeps, just keep getting better and better. But I just want to showcase a few tips and tricks before actually getting yourself super far into DST. So I really do hope that these videos has helped you out. And if they did, let me know. If they didn't, and you have any more questions, feel free to let me know as well. Here's the clockworks, and this is why we got to get ourselves ready. Put down the lantern, or if you want to make yourself your fire pit, if you end up having that as well, that's always an option too. Get in there and worry about how these things are going to attack. A bishop does not matter how to actually kite it because it's going to continuously shoot you no matter what. So go in there and tack it up. You might just be better just doing Control F to kill it, and hopefully it doesn't take too long to kill. Once you get yourself those gears, you can continuously attack the other one if you feel like you have enough HP to do so, but just be cautious when doing so as your hat is now at 0. And use your backup armor if you still have it in your inventory, and this you can kite as well, but let's not talk about kiting just yet. I don't think it's important to learn kiting skills unless you actually need to, and of course, it could be a little complicated as time goes on to learn the basics of kiting anyways, so I don't really want anything to overcomplicate than they need to be. Okay, we've lost a lot of HP. We need to get more HP. How are we going to get it? Well, funny enough, for a while now, we've actually been gathering some silk. So let's gather more silk. But before we do that, let's make ourselves a little bit of armor, none other than a football helmet. We have another football helmet, now we're down to 6 pigskin, and we're going to fight a few more spiders. But this time I'm going to do something a little bit different near the end. Let's fight the spiders, and they're not going to do too much damage to me, so I'm not super worried. I'm actually going to attack the spider den. You might be wondering why the heck am I doing this, as it's not really recommended early game. Okay. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm really worried that we're not going to actually be able to come back here anytime soon, at least, unless we die. So we got to be really cautious with what we do. So silk is very important as it's going to give us a good resource, what we need. So I would probably suggest the only time that you want to attack the said spider den is if you end up in an area with an abundance amount of spider nests. And as we do right now, we have lots and lots and lots. I do remember we have 3 at home and we also have 5 in our inventory. So this is perfecto. So if you look in this area, there's a bunch of different spider nests. So that's fine if you kill only 2 or 3. I wouldn't suggest going through and just destroying all the spider nests, as that's not recommended at all. Okay, so let's keep on going. So now I'm going to go walk all the way back home, and I'm going to make one last piece of the puzzle, or 2 last pieces of the puzzle, which will pretty much end the tutorials on how to do, or basically my tips and tricks for Don't Starve Together. Each of these videos have been around 20 minutes a piece. I really wanted them to be around 10 minutes or so it's a little bit easier for you to kind of get the grasp on how to survive. But I think it's important to know a lot of different things, and I hope I've included as much as I can and crammed in a lot of information. I don't really like the idea of just hop, skipping, and jumping to the next tip without realizing what you have to do first. Sure, I could have quickly just showcased, okay, make a crock pot, do this, you're done, have a great day. But if you don't know how to actually get yourself to that point, well, it's going to be harder and harder and harder for you to figure that out. As I'm doing right now, I'm gathering a little bit of butterflies, and pretty much from there, I'm just going to continue to do so until I get my HP back up. Or not. There might be a different way to do this, right? Okay, if you do have 4 monster meat in your inventory, I want you to eventually come back to this one of these pigs, and follow suit on something that I'm going to show you. Now, I only have 37 HP, so I probably wouldn't recommend doing this, but feed 1 pig, 1, 2, 3, 4 monster meat, and just walk away. When this pig is done, it's going to turn into a werepig, which is going to be really awesome. And as soon as it turns into it, immediately attack it. Immediately attack it. It might get a few hits off on you, but that should be okay. As long as you're not taking too much damage, which I did take a little bit more damage than I wanted to. Now it's going to give you 2 big pieces of meat, and it's going to give you another pig skin. That's how you replenish your pig skins. So if you ever run out, all you need is 4 monster meat, turn into that, get yourself a pig skin. There's a reason why I did this, and I'm going to showcase it right here. The reason why I did this was because now I can make a better weapon, the handbat. And now the handbat is only relying on if it's actually, yes, spoiling. It's just like food. So that's why we made it. Now we got ourselves some silk, and we have some more silk in here too. And guess what? Now we can make ourselves a pretty good late game thing. But let's just focus on our fridge, shall we? That's what we came here for. Go under the cooking tab, make yourself a cut stone, and now we can make ourselves a fridge and put the fridge right next to your crock pot and put all of your food and all your ingredients in there. And if you want to go ahead and craft your meatball again, feel free to do so. And now you might want to check your traps and go through the process of making sure that you reset these, add more things, and then focus on your resources again so you don't forget to do so. In case you want your food to last a little bit longer, don't murder the bunnies until they're almost dead, and then you can just continuously murder them, and that way it refreshes the morsel back to 100%. Gather more grass, and then put your inventory back to where it was before. Maintaining it pretty well is probably what I would continue to suggest doing, as you don't want it to get too sloppy and forget about certain things that you're missing. For example, I'm missing a little bit of logs still, but that's okay, not a huge deal. I'm gathering a few little bits of grass here because I'm going to be needing I'm going to be making a last piece of the puzzle, which will help a ton, and that's why I got the 8 silk. Of course, you could use the spider gland to heal, but I'm not going to be using that for that. What I'm going to be using the silk for is the best healing in, well, not the best healing, but an easy healing source in Don't Starve Together. Making a tent. That's right. 3 rope, 4 twigs, and 6 silk got us a tent. Now, with our bellies nice and full, we can actually jump inside this tent and regain our sanity and regain our HP just by sleeping in a tent. Yes, just by sleeping in a tent. So the gears don't really need to be left on us, so we're going to leave them at base 2, and in exchange, let's just take back our pine cones, as we probably should go replant them anyways, but that is where we're going to leave it here. I hope you enjoyed these 3 videos that'll hopefully showcase you how to get further in Don't Starve Together. We have food coming in abundance. We have lots of ways of getting more berry bushes and more poop. Keep in mind too, another tip for actually getting more poop in DST, or you can just get rot as well. So if you go along the swamps, you can get those. We have double science. We have our fire pit. We have Chester. We have a pan flute. We have a handbat. We have a lantern. We have all of our golden tools. We have a bunch of pigskin, and we have a lot of resources, although we're missing a few pieces of grass, which is very easy to get as we go along. We've gotten the gears by fighting the clockworks, and we made sure that we stayed alive. The last little bit is gaining a little bit more HP. By sleeping in the tent, we now are going to regain all of our lost HP that we've just had. When we wake up, we're going to cook ourselves a meatball. I hope these videos have done a great job at introducing you to Don't Starve Together. Remember, I have a 1 year in DST, 1.5 year in DST run where it showcases how to survive and Don't Starve Together step by step the entire way. This video these videos, I should say, are more so just for you to actually get yourself to a point of survival in DST. I hope that it helped you showcase a lot of different tips and tricks when it came to making fire, making your first base, and surviving your first hound wave. I think it's very helpful to actually do this stuff, and if you enjoyed it and it helped you survive, please let me know down below. I'll keep this save file and I'll make a duplicate of it, and just in case you somehow want me to come back to it further on down the road. As I thank you for watching all my videos, I hope you have an awesome one, and I will see you in the next one.